Let's start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Panchadasi, chapter 3, is titled Panchakosha Viveka Prakaranam. We are analyzing the 5 koshas of an individual body, of an individual self. So this chapter primarily is on identifying who am I without the 5 koshas. In the initial stage, we have seen what are the 5 koshas up to verse number 12. And then from 13 onwards, we have focused our attention on the self. The first portion of the self is defined as Chaitanyam, consciousness. If I am not the 5 koshas, the 5 dresses which I wear, who am I? If somebody asks you, who are you? Normally, a person who has never come to Veda, he will say, I am this body, I was born on so-and-so date, and his identification will be only with the body. But when you come to Vedanta, when you come to the study of Veda, which is a very ancient text in India, you learn in that text something very, very new. It is beyond science. It is beyond the sense organs. It is beyond the mind. But Veda reveals it, and it calls it Sat-Chit-Ananda. So in this text, we are trying to understand ourselves, and we are also trying to understand what is this world. In other chapters, like chapter 1, we will be doing after this chapter, where we will analyze the world and then arrive at the same conclusion of what we are arriving in chapter 3. Whenever we are discussing Veda, we must remember a few points. I'm going to summarize those 4 or 5 essential points so that you get a grip of what we are studying. Because if you don't understand the overall flow of things, then you will be lost. So this chapter is talking about my real nature. There are 2 natures I have, according to the Veda. Not according to my parents or not according to my teachers in school or college. Nobody has taught me this. Only when I go to a guru and ask him, please teach me who am I. Then the guru knows that you are asking about your own true nature. And that is how all the Upanishads, they start. A guru and a teacher, a guru and a teacher. Whether it is Chandogya Upanishad, whether it is a Kaivalya Upanishad, whether it is Vedantic Upanishad, all of them, most of them, they will have a guru. Either they will point out the name of the guru and the teacher, or they will remain silent. But they will reveal the truth as a dialogue between a guru and a teacher, a guru and his disciple. So, number one point you should remember, there are two things connected with me. One is seen, another is unseen. Experienced, unexperienced. Permanent, impermanent. What is the permanent? The permanent is called as Sat-Chit-Ananda. It is called as Atma. I do not know about this at all. And this is something newly revealed by the Veda. Therefore, it is called as pramana. It is called as a revelation. Like your eyes are, you use your eyes to see the form and color. You use your ears to listen to the sound. You use the Veda, and then you check for yourself what the Veda is revealing. Is it the truth or not? So we need to have a scientific bent of mind when we come to Vedanta. We have to use logic and arrive at the conclusion for our own self. So number one point is, there is Atma, which is permanent. There is Anatma, which is temporary. Anatma means the body and mind. Mind is known by the feelings. Body is known because I see the body. I see the reflection of my body in a mirror. Number one. So this is the first point. The second point you should remember, I'm giving you some 3-4 points. Please note it down. If you have a piece of paper, write it down and keep it. Because this is something which it is just coming to me now. I have not prepared any notes. I'm just giving you so that you will be able to grasp this current verses which we are doing today. What we will be doing, in order to understand that, you must have this background. The second point you should note is, there are 3 different realities. Number one, vyavaharika satyam. Reality is called as satyam. Vyavaharika satyam means what we experience in our waking state. Second is reality is pratibhasika satyam. What I experience in my dream state. Vyavaharika satyam, pratibhasika satyam. And then there is a third reality which is called as absolute reality, called as paramarthika satyam. Veda, through the waking state of vyavaharika satyam and the dream state of pratibhasika satyam, reveals the paramarthika satyam, which is Atma. That is the second point you should remember. The third point you should remember is cause and effect. Relationship is mainly in the vyavaharika field. Vyavaharika field. That means in waking state, you can see a cause and you can see the effect. The parent is the cause, the children are the effect. The seed is the cause, the tree is the effect. Both of them are in the same satta, in the same reality. But what Vedanta tells us is paramarthika satyam. Paramarthika satyam, in order to note that, the relationship we have to use is adhisthana adhyasa sambandha. Adhisthana adhyasa means what? Adhisthana means substratum. Adhyastam means superimposition. So when I am going from one realm to another realm, you should use the relationship of substratum and superimposition. Like baker and dreamer. Baker is a substratum. The dream is, the entire dream world is a superimposition on the baker's mind. Similarly, Atma is the substratum and the entire waking world is the superimposition on Atma. These are very fundamental points of Vedanta. You should remember this in order to come and understand the conclusion of Vedanta. Conclusion of Vedanta is, I am Atma Swarupa. I am the nature of pure consciousness. But the mind and intellect will not understand if you don't know the basics. So, first one is, what is permanent, impermanent? Second is, what are the three levels of reality? Third is, cause-effect relationship is in the vyavaharika field, not in the paramarthika field. In the paramarthika field, we have to apply another law which is called as substratum and superimposition. Now, when you apply these rules, then you should note that Atma is something, the world is something, two different things. World is revealed by sense, or this is the next point. Yeah, this is the next point. The fourth point. Sense objects and sense organs, they constitute the world. When you remove the sense organs and the sense objects, what remains is Atma. Very, very important point. You see, these are all fundamentals of Vedanta. When you remove the sense organs, it doesn't mean that everything is gone. There is something balanced, and that is what is called as Brahman or Atma. So the world depends on the functioning of the sense organs, and Atma is revealed only by the Veda. And the last point you should remember is, Veda does not directly solve our emotional problems. We still have a challenge to face when it comes to our emotions in our waking state. Throughout our waking state, from birth to death, we will be facing our emotions. Because this is as per the prarabdha karma of the body. Till the body is there, there will be emotions. You will feel, I'm not happy about something, I like something in the world, I don't like something in the world, I don't want the things which I don't like, I don't want it in my life, but still they come. I don't like sorrow, but still they come. I don't like death, but still it approaches us. So, but you should remember, these are challenges for all the jivas, whether you are a wise person or ignorant person. And what helps us face the challenge is Atma Jnana. So if these 5 points are understood, then you study the third chapter, it becomes very easy. Because you know what is Atma, you have got the basics of Atma, and then because you are aware of what the world, the nature of the world is, it is an appearance, it will come and go. I cannot stop the world. This is Ishvara Srishti. It is the creation of Ishvara. And the same Ishvara has got another nature like me. he also has another nature, and that is what is called as Brahman. Nirguna Brahman. What the world is? Saguna Brahman. With gunas. Brahman with the gunas, three gunas, which is Maya Shakti, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, is what we see as our experienced world. What exists without this experience is pure consciousness, pure existence, pure ananda, bliss. Okay, now let us go to today's verse. We have done up to 31 verse. 43 verses are there in this chapter. Today we are going to study the 32nd verse. I will first play the recording.
अत एव श्रुतिर्बाध्यम् अत एव श्रुतिर्बाध्यम् बाधित्वा शेषयत्यदः स एष नेति-नेत्यात्मेति स एष नेतिर्नेत्यात्मेति अतद्व्यावृत्तिरूपतः.
Okay, now the Upanishads, they want to reveal my nature. And how do they reveal this nature? By saying that you are Atma. This is from Vedantic Upanishad. This comes 2 or 3 times in Vedantic Upanishads, neti-neti. It comes to reveal Atma. In Vedantic Upanishad, this is one indirect method of revelation. There is also a direct method of revelation, which is Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. That is a direct revelation. Indirect revelation is neti. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the senses. Whatever you experience, you are not that. Atayeva Shrutibhyam, Shruti Badabhyam, Bhaditva Seshayat Tyadaha. What it means is, the Shruti says, neti-neti. Neti, the first neti is not this, not this. You are not the gross body, you are not the subtle body. But who are you? You are that Atma which remains when I negate the gross body, subtle body, causal body. That is why Shruti says that Atma is and not this, not this. You are not the name and form. Suppose somebody calls you Jacqueline. Jacqueline is just a name. And it has got a form of a lady. So the name is given to the form. Another form can have another name. You can be called as Vidya, you can be called as Sita, you can be called as any other name. So for a form in the world, we give a name. This is how Chandogya Upanishad reveals what is the truth and what is mithya. Mithya means name and form. Mithya means appearance. So what the Shruti does is, it negates all the names and forms from the world. What remains is incapable of being negated. Very, very important point. You cannot negate Atma. According to Veda, there is a permanent, continuous, eternal, immortal self. That self is the same it is the same for everything in the universe. It is the self of my mother. It is the self of me. It is a self of my friend. It is a self of the entire universe. The inner content of the entire universe is this self, is this Atma. So neti negates Maya, which is matter, which is subtle in nature. I told you subtle body. The first neti is it negates anything which is subtle, like air, like space, subtle. You cannot see it. And then what about the gross neti? It negates the effects. That means the subtle element is the cause and the gross element is the effect. Both are Maya. Subtle, that means if you have done Tattva Bodha, you'll remember this. The 5 subtle elements are the cause of the gross elements, because from the subtle elements through Panchikarana, the gross elements are formed. And through the gross element, the entire gross world is formed, including your body, my body, all the bodies of the animals, living beings, the gross objects of the world, insentient objects, all of them, what is seen is called as gross. When the 5 sense organs can perceive something, it is called as gross sound, gross touch, gross smell, gross taste, because my senses can perceive. But if my senses cannot perceive that, it is called as subtle. My mind, for example, the sense organs do not perceive this mind. It is very subtle. What perceives the mind? The Sakshi, the Atma. Shruti Bhadyam Bhaditam, that which has Nirakarana Yogyam, possibility to get negated, is the body, senses, pranas, mind, and the world. That means what can be negated is all these things. Seshayati Yatna. That this is negated, that which can be negated is negated. But what can't be negated is what? The easiness in the world, easiness in the body, easiness in anything in the world. That is what is called as Satyam. Therefore, when you say the table is name and form, is Satyam. The women is name and form, isness is Satyam. The mountain is name and form, is Satyam. Is can never be negated. This is a very, very important point. That is what is being revealed in the last verse from the verses 29 to 34. The description of is, Sat, pure existence is being given. That is what we are seeing here. So neti-neti reveals what? The isness, the Sat aspect, which can never be negated, which I called in the beginning as permanent. When I said permanent, this is exactly what I was referring to. What you negate after neti-neti, what remains? It is Satyam. Saesha neti-neti iti Atma. So how do you arrive at Atma? Not this, not that. Esha, this or that refers to Paroksham or Pratyaksham. Paroksham means what? Very far from me. My senses cannot even see them, cannot perceive them. Pratyaksha means what? It is right in front of me. So whether it is far away or whether it is in front, both of them are this experience, idam. The self is never experienced as idam. It is always experienced as aham, I. In the sleep state, aham is there, I am there. What is not there? Idam is not there. In sleep. In waking, what is there? Aham is there, idam is there. Both are there. In dream, what is there? Aham is there, idam is there. Self is nitya aparoksham. It is the subject. Aparoksham means it is not far. Whatever is not far, whatever is not distant, or whatever is not in front of the sense organs, it is called as aparoksham. That is why there's a text called as aparoksha anubhuti. Self-experience. Self is more closer than this or that. Saha in Sanskrit means that. Esha means this. So language describes only this or that, but it can never describe the knower of this and that. That is why they say that words cannot describe Atma. They can only give us a direction in which to look at. Whatever the intellect picks up as Atma that is what it is. You come to Aparoksha Brahma Jnanam by this method, which is called as neti-neti. How does one come to Atma? By just using or negating all that can be negated. That is what is called as atat vyavritti rupataha. I will explain to you that it's just a technical name. By negation of all that which is the world, Shruti negates distant and nearby objects. So whenever you say that boy, that girl, means you're not talking right who is in front of you. That person who is away. So whatever is that is negated by neti-neti. Whatever is this is negated. What is left out? The subject. And how does the Shruti reveal the subject? It remains quiet. Silence. That is why when you, in meditation, when we chant Om, I always tell you, observe the silence. Means what? There are no words which can describe Atma. It is just silence, means know yourself as that pure consciousness. Sita was asked, who is Rama? What she did, she negated all what was negatable and remained silent. When she remained silent, what it revealed? It revealed Rama. Self is indicated in three ways. Okay, this is a technical point you should remember. Whatever we want to reveal in the world, it will fall under these three methods. The first method, I have discussed this before, but I'm just repeating it. This will come again and again in Panchadasi. Almost in every chapter, this will be taught. Because this is a very important point in Vedanta. Swarupa Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means this Taittiriya Upanishad, for example, it says Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. It will say the description of Brahman or the reality or Atma is Satyam. It will directly try to explain to you its nature. Satyam means what? Whatever is anityam is satyam. So it will tell you the world is anityam. You try to locate what is satyam, there will be only subject left out. Jnanam. Everything in the world is inert, according to Vedanta. Everything in the world is inert, except the self. Therefore, it is called as jnana. What is the third one? Anantam. Anything in the world, if it has got name and form, it will be perishable. We'll be doing some logical reasoning also after some time. In the next verse, we'll be doing it. But just to remember that whatever is finite, it is always perishable. What is imperishable? What is beyond time, beyond space, beyond all the objects? There is only one limitless, and that is the self. The self is not affected by time. Therefore, I say I am immortal. After the study of Vedanta, if you tell somebody I am immortal, you're not wrong, because you are referring to Atma. Whereas the listener is thinking that you are the body. He will never understand you are the Atma, unless he also gets educated. He's talking about the consciousness, which is revealed in the Veda, in the Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, in Panchadasi chapter 3. So Swarupa Lakshana means the nature is directly explained. The second is called Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means indirect indicator. With reference to something else, you describe what the item is, what the object is. We say the self or Brahman is Jagat Karanam. It is the cause of the universe. Indirectly looking at the world, I say the self is the cause. What you see in front is the effect. Through the effect, through the product, you go back to the cause. That is what is called as Tatastha Lakshana. You stand on the bank of a river and say, this house is by the river. Using the bank of the river, you describe the house. This is the second type of, many Tatastha Lakshana examples can be possible. You describe a person who is bald, who is wearing specs, who is short. These are all Tatastha Lakshana. What is Vyavaharika Lakshana? Vyavaharika Lakshana is what we studied, what we are studying in this verse. Neti-neti. So the third way of revealing something is, suppose you want to reveal, say, a table in a room. And then in the room, there are 5 other things. There's a girl, you say it is not the girl. There's a light, you say it is not the light. Ultimately, what remains is the table. Sugar is what? It is not salt. Neti. You're using the method of neti. So what is self is very beautifully described in Nirvana Shatkam by neti-neti method. You all have listened to Nirvana Shatkam. I have taken a class also on this entire set of verses. And if you remember, Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, Nacha Srotra Jibhe, Nacha Grana Netre, Nacha Vyoma Bhumir, Natejo Navayuhu, Chidananda Rupaha, Shivoham, Shivoham, like this it goes on. The first portion, it says, I am not the mind, I am not the memory, I am not the intellect, I am not the ego, I am not the organs of perception, I am not the 5 elements. Who am I? So this is all neti-neti. Who am I? Positively, I am pure knowledge and bliss. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So in this verse, both are being used. What is the first lakshana? The first lakshana is atat vyavritti lakshana, which is neti-neti. Atat vyavritti is a technical name, but it's easy to say neti-neti. Na iti, na iti. What is Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham? That is Swarupa Lakshana. So is it clear? I hope if it is not clear, you can ask me at the end of the question. At the end of the class, you can ask me. So 3 Lakshanas are there, and all 3 are used by the Veda, by the Upanishads to reveal Atma or Brahman. Because it is not generally it is not a direct way we can reveal the self, because it is not an object of the senses. If it is an object of the senses, you can describe with the property, you can describe with the color, you can describe it with the kriya, action, jati, guna, kriya, sambandha. These are all used for describing an object which is outside. Srishti Drishti Vada, creation is pre-existing before me. This is common sense. Okay, let me explain to you. There are two schools of thought. One is called as Drishti. This is a very deep subject, very, very deep. I will just give you an introduction of this now, but if you really, really want to go deep into this, you have to go to another text called as Vichara Saga. In that, this is intensely discussed in chapter 4 of Vichara Saga. See if you can pick it up, but this needs contemplation. You need to contemplate on these 2 theories of creation. What are the 2 theories of creation? The 2 theories of creation are, one is called as Srishti Drishti Vada, and the second is called as Drishti Srishti Vada. DSV and SDV. Shorter ways are easy to remember. Now you have to see which is easy for you to understand. What is easy for all of us? It is Srishti Drishti Vada, SDV. That is easy. Because my sense organs, I believe my sense organs. I see something in front of my sense organs, therefore I say it exists. I see my mother was existing before me, therefore I say, definitely there must have been a creation before I came into the world. So Srishti Drishti means there is a creation before in which I was born, which is what 99.9% of the people in the world will accept. Srishti is there, creation is there. Because creation is there, I can have drishti of that. I can see it. Okay, so this is clear. This is very easy to understand also. Yada drishti, tada tat drishti. When I see something, I say it exists. And when you want to prove that Atma is there, both the methods are used. One is the DSV, another is the SD. What is DSV, which is difficult to understand? Because to understand DSV, which is Drishti Srishti Vada, you must know how the mind operates. If you do not know the operation of the mind as per the Veda, you will not be able to appreciate this methodology of creation. Drishti Srishti Vada means that the world is in the mind of a person. Very, very fundamental fact. Generally, you also hear in the Veda that the whole world is existing in your mind. At that time, you don't know the fact that you are using Drishti Srishti Vada. And the best Upanishad which reveals this Drishti Srishti Vada is Mandukya Upanishad. And also there's another beautiful text called as Yoga Vasishtha, where Vasishtha Guru teaches Lord Rama the same truth which Panchadasi chapter 3 is revealing to us. Same truth. In about 40,000 verses. This chapter 3 has got 43 verses. Yoga Vasishtha consists of 40,000, I don't know exactly 36,000 or something, 36,000 verses. There are books available which is called as Laghu Yoga Vasishtha. Laghu means concise form of this 36,000 verses is there in books. You can Google and find out. Okay, world of objects, in that text and in Mandukya Upanishad and in Vichara Sagara, you will find, and also in chapter, other chapters of Panchadasi, especially chapter 4, you will find Drishti Srishti Vada. You will be able to understand this as we study Panchadasi also. What does this say? The world of objects does not exist before the self. Mind is rising from consciousness and it experiences the world. At any time for anybody, whether in the past for your forefathers, whether it is today or for the future generation. Whenever you experience the world, you experience it always together with the mind. Whether it is in the dream state, waking state, sleep state, mind is there. Mind is present, mind is manifest, mind is absent, unmanifest. So what is the world? World is seen, drishti. When it is seen, srishti is there. When it is not seen, it is in unmanifest form. That is what is called as drishti srishti bhava. It requires faith in the scriptures. It requires a lot of strength of the mind to absorb this reality in the mind. Intelligence, reasoning, logic, all are required to know that the world is in the mind. It is manifest from the mind and it goes into the unmanifest mind. The whole, many times you might have heard these two words, manifest, unmanifest. These two words are used to describe drishti, srishti, vada. Eyes, mind, sun are not required to reveal the self. The self is self-luminous. When you see, this is what we studied in the 10th chapter. Before this chapter, we did the 10th chapter of Panchadasi. The self is always there. In what form? Self-effulgent form. Consciousness does not require the sun to illuminate. It doesn't require it to shine. Consciousness does not require anything in the world. Everything in the world is illumined by consciousness. And the self alone exists without the world also. This is an extremely important point, because only when you understand the independent nature of the self, you will get moksha. You will get immortality. till you are saying that there is a world is dependent, I am in the world, you will never have freedom from the world because you're in Dvaitam. Consciousness is aparoksha swayam jyoti jnanam. Who am I? I am of the nature of awareness. This awareness is Satyam. It can never be negated. It can never be sublated. It can never have a denial. No absence is possible for the self. No change is possible for the self. Nirvikara. All these are words to prove that there is a permanent, eternal subject in this universe, which I said was the first point in my Vedanta lessons. I told you 5 lessons. The first lesson there is consciousness can never be negated. And from this, you can have so many corollaries. Therefore, I can say I don't have death. Body has death. Everybody knows that. Because the senses can perceive the presence of the body, absence of the body. Even in our daily life, we notice the absence of the body in our sleep. So why are we worried about a coma state or unconscious state or any state? Even the death of the body, why are we afraid of it? Not required. Because we exist in sleep state, where the body is not there, is not experienced. So after death, if the body is not experienced, why should I be worried? Even now I can experience myself without the body. Each one have got this experience or not? Yes, we all have this. So Veda only tries to reveal my current experience. It doesn't want to change my experiences at all. Waking, dream, sleep, and Turiyam. Turiyam is a state of my real nature, which is the ultimate knower, which never changes. Nirvikara Swarupa. So Vedanta is not a belief. Like you say, there is heaven. I can never know the heaven because I will never be able to see it and come back and say, yes, I went and saw it yesterday. But the self, each one of us can say, yes, I know the self. Now I know what it is. Because I have studied the 3rd chapter of Panchadasi, so clear it is. What else you want? Something which is there, which is self-luminous, self-effulgent, which the senses cannot reveal, which the mind cannot reveal, but it exists. All the time it exists. It was there before the birth of the body. It was there, it will be there after the death of the body. Because it alone is. That is the truth. That is the ultimate truth of the universe. So, logically, Shruti explains this fact to me. The only thing I have to do is intellectually try to understand the logic. Follow the scriptures, follow the Vichara with this Panchadasi, 32nd verse, 33rd verse. We have seen consciousness, Chaitanyam, from verse number 29, 13 to 28 was Jnanam. 29 to 34 is this existence. Chaitanyam is over. Jnanam part was over before. Now we are doing Satyam part. After that, we will be doing Anantam. So when you remove all the objects in a room, you come to objectless presence of what? Of space. Similarly, giving up all perceptions of sense organs and our own conceptualization of the intellect, we arrive at a practical, pragmatic presence of Atma. It is not a belief like the heavens' existence. It is our own anubhuti, our own experience. Brahma Sutra, which is 555 sutras are there, where one of the sutras says, Brahma avagati paryantam sanvache ichchayaya karma. What it says is, when the desire to know ends, I want to know this, I want to know that, I want to know this, I want to know that, I want to learn all the 15 chapters of Panchadasi, I want to learn Brahma Sutra, I want to learn Upanishads. When the desire ends, at that time, the knowledge of Brahman is gained. It's good to have desire, no doubt. But what it says, Brahma Sutra says, that Brahman is gained when all the kamas in your mind are gone. The final step is Satyam. Till then, Vedanta has not accomplished its job. Neti-neti. You go, drop this, drop that, drop that. Ultimately, you come to the objectless external space. When it comes in a room, you come, when you remove all the objects, what remains there? Objectless space, physical space. But what happens in your mind? In the mind, there is an inner space of consciousness. Consciousness is enclosed in all our minds. Without consciousness, there is no mind. Consciousness is the inner nature. It is covered by all the 5 koshas. And the thoughts are the Vijnanamaya kosha. Thoughts which keep coming. And the thoughts disturb us. Agitations come. Therefore, we feel very crowded. You know, sometimes we feel that, oh, my head is spinning. Because of your thoughts. Thoughts are nothing but objects in consciousness. I repeat, thoughts are objects in consciousness. It is in the space of Chit-Abhasa, in the reflection of the mind, which of the consciousness, there are thoughts. So how to remove objects mentally which are placed? The best way is you close your eyes. Whenever a thought comes, you say neti. Another thought comes, you say neti. So this way in yoga, it is called as Pratyahara, withdrawal. I withdraw from all the thoughts to the self. Chidabhasa is the reflected space of consciousness in our mind. See, inside our mind, it's very difficult to understand what is there. And what Veda reveals to us is that the consciousness which is there in the universe can be only realized in the mind. The Satyam aspect, you can open your eyes and see. This person is, that person is, the world is, mountain is, all that you can see. That is isness. But the consciousness is experienced whenever the thought comes, it gets reflected, and that is why we say that every thought is a manifestation of consciousness. Kaivalya Upanishad very beautifully says, this is what we are doing in our Saturday classes. Na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amrutatva manushuhu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate yat yatayo vishanti. You cannot come to this Atma by having children, by having wealth, by renouncing the world. You cannot get immortality. How can you get immortality then? Come to Veda and see that consciousness in the cave of your intellect. See, this is the pramanam for the fact that consciousness exists in our intellect. Some reach higher reality by tyaga, dropping identification of thoughts. In the seat of meditation, we give up awareness of the body, thoughts. Normally we do that. Not always we require to drop thoughts to reach Satya. Satya means what? It exists. A thought is. So even with open eyes, you can say, you can experience Satya. A goldsmith will tell you the weight of gold, but you're seeing the ornaments all the time, right? So when you're seeing ring and bangle, in the back of your mind, you're able to visualize, yes, this is the gold, this is the gold, it is 50 grams gold, it's 100 grams gold, this chain is 200-gram chain, this bangle is 50-gram bangle. So the value of gold behind this is smaller and the other one is higher. Your intellect can understand, looking at the ring itself, you can understand the gold. Similarly, looking at the world, you can understand the Satyam part. Universe, see the universe as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. When you see the universe, immediately you should say there is existence in the world. I am conscious of the world, and this world is Anantam. Anantam means limitless. There is no limit to this world. Keep on traveling, 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 traveling. You cross one galaxy, another galaxy, another galaxy. It's limitless. So, one time in meditation, when you give up everything, you come to existence and say, I am this pure existence. What happens then? The viparita bhavana means what? The world is Satyam, that notion is dropped. What will come then? I am Satyam, the world is Mithya. That notion will come, then we learn to drop everything by neti-neti. Then afterwards, you can open the eyes and you can always know the truth. Whether you are in with open eyes or closed eyes, you can know. When after practice of neti-neti, for some time, when you are aware of yourself being sakshi all the time, even when objects are there, that is called as sahaja samadhi. Okay? So today we have covered a part of this verse. We will continue this verse because there is an aspect of Drikdrishya Viveka, which is also explained here. Okay, let me try and finish this today. It may take another extra 5 minutes. Okay, Drikdrishya Viveka says, Yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadheha. Wherever the mind goes, you can find samadhi there. Because of what? I know I am the pure Satyam. In Drikdrishya Viveka, there were 4 Samadhi exercises. For people who have done the Drikdrishya Viveka, you can remember. external and internal, by looking at the world and by looking at your mind. There were two meditations externally, two meditations internally. 4 meditations were taught in Drigdrishya Viveka, in the end portion of the Drigdrishya Viveka. Space has got external and internal. External means it is anityam, elemental space. It disappears in sleep. What is the inner space? Inner space is consciousness. And that inner space is eternal. Final resting ground of the whole universe is this internal inner space called as Chaitanyam. That Chaitanyam is the adhishtanam, the substratum for all the thoughts and for the entire world. This is where your samadhi culminates. Nivikalpa Samadhi is without the destruction of the knower and the known. That means what? You retain what is beyond the knower and known. That is what is called as Brahman. That is what is called as the ultimate reality. From the inner space, which is called as Chidabhasa, you remove the objects in the form of thoughts and you come to pure existence. See, this aspect of the inner space of consciousness is very, very important to understand Chaitanyam. Subject, object becoming one. In the inner consciousness, when does it become one? In the sleep state. In the sleep state, what remains? It is Sat-Chit-Ananda. That objectless presence is Purnaha. See, when we chant the mantra Purnaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, this is the Purnaha we are talking about. Now you understand, beyond the sleep state, what exists is Purnaha. Bhasha eva tatra vidyante. That means nothingness does not mean blankness. Negation of all appearances is what is called as mithya, nama rupa. So when I say neti-neti, I should remember what? I am negating the gross and the subtle world, which can be bhadaha. Bhadaha means which is possible to negate, because it is negated in sleep state. It is negated in the dream state. The waking world is not there in the dream state. So ultimately, what do we prove? By neti-neti, we arrive at Satyam and Jnanam. Jnanam because it is self-conscious. Satyam is what is proved in this verse, number 32. Okay. This was quite a heavy verse, but it required a lot of explanation. Therefore, I went a little slowly. Each of these verses are very, very important verses because each of them can lead you to the truth. Okay, next week we'll do the 33rd verse. Okay, with this we end today's Panchadasi chapter 3 session.
Idam rupam
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, there are no questions today in the chat box. In case any of you have any questions, you can raise your hand and then you can ask. I can see Preeti is raising her hands. Preeti, please go ahead.
Yes, Shikharji, thank you very much for this wonderful session. I understand, this Jagat Mithya on the level that you are saying. But then again, when we come to transactional and also knowing that, this is the world that we have to work out our karma and move ahead. And all
Yes.
the teachings that we have been studying are of the masters who came into this world. So how do we reconcile these two aspects?
Okay. See, this reconciliation will only happen when you rise to the higher level. As long as you are in the vyavaharika level only, this reconciliation is very difficult because your mind is saying that this world is Satyam. Until you say the world is Satyam and you go through this Satyam without being aware of the paramarthika Satyam. See, the problem we all face is our concept of reality of this world is very high. And our knowledge and our conviction of the Atma is very less. So this imbalance which is there today because we are in the process of learning. As you learn the scriptures more and more, what will happen is Satyatva Buddhi in the world will reduce and Satyatva Buddhi in the pure Atma will grow. When this happens, this is what is called as a pure mind. It is called as Sattvic mind. Today we are looking at the world in an individual way. I am the individual, I am experiencing this, and therefore the rajas and tamas in my body and in my mind is controlling the individual I. So slowly the individual I learns through meditation and also through the learning of the scriptures. It learns to direct the thought process that whatever I'm experiencing is an appearance, it is a mithya prapancha. It is satyatva, it is got reality in the vyavaharika world. Okay, so that slowly you should train your mind to say, whatever I'm experiencing is because of some past karma which is happening, and therefore the body has taken birth, the body is experiencing. Body will experience till the last breath the world. No doubt about it. That is what, and whatever the actions the body does, the mind, whatever the thoughts it brings out, these are all already destined to come out. It will come. There is no way we can change this. Your life, your experiences, my life, my experiences are all happening because that is the nature of this world of 5 elements. The world is nothing but 5 elements in different forms. That's all. In different forms, the world, and we all undergo the experiences only through our mind. So to answer your question, how do we face the world? At the same time, know that Atma. That is the crux of your question. The answer to that is keep learning, let the mind get exposed more and more. It's an automatic process of the mind to go through these experiences and arrive at the final conclusion that they are mithya. It will happen. When it will happen, I don't know. Each one's mind is different. You just go through the process. Let me study this Panchadasi or Kaivalya Upanishad 1.5 hours every week. And whenever the mind keeps on thinking, you see, what will happen is after some time, your own mind will start contemplating on this truth. And when the contemplation increases, that is what is called as nididhyasana. Then the mind itself will tell you, okay, I can face the world. This is no problem. I have the strength to face the world. Let any experience come. So it is a question of strengthening the mind with knowledge. Okay, Saru, what was your question?
Yeah. Okay, so it's slightly, it's not very precise, the question, but there are a number of thoughts that are coming together.
Yeah.
One is when you were giving the basic principles, you use the term vyavaharika satyam, pratibhasika satyam, and paramarthika satyam.
Yes.
So this word satya, so while we are using the word satyam in each of these three different realities.
Yes.
Yeah. So while these are not the reality or the truth, but these are satyam. Yeah. So that was one which was striking me.
Okay, let me answer that question first.
Yeah.
See, when we are in the initial stage of our learning, the world is satyam for us. I mean, I don't know about that paramarthika satyam and all the pratibhasika also, I don't know the term called as pratibhasika. So for me, the vyavahara, the transactional reality is satyam. So the Upanishad uses what the student already knows as the truth. That is the starting point. The Upanishad knows the problem of the student. It only says that it is truth. No doubt it is the truth, but don't think that it is the only truth.
Yes.
All of us, without the knowledge of the absolute truth, we all think that this is the only truth. That is why it uses the word vyavaharikam, where we are all transacting. Throughout our waking state, we are transacting. The transaction is what between the sense organs and the sense objects. It goes on. I know I see a world, you see a world in Delhi, I see a world in Singapore, somebody sees a world in London, another person sees a world in America. The world may be different. They are all different objects for the sense organs.
Yes. Yes.
And they all are only 5 elements. Whether you are in London or whether it is in Delhi or Bombay or, wherever you are situated, Bangalore, wherever it is. So, the first truth is vyavaharika satyam. Deliberately, the Upanishad uses the word satyam because we only know this reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Then the Upanishad slightly raises your point and says there is another satyam which is pratibhasika satyam.
Dream state, yeah.
Pratibhasika satyam is when you do not use your sense organs and you are only using your mind, which is dream state. So pratibhasika means it is projected by your mind. There is no truth apart from that dream world. That dream world is totally different than the vyavaharika satyam.
Yes, yes, yes. Here I have one question.
Yeah.
I interject? Yeah. So, so if I'm looking at Jungian psychology here again, which is studying the unconscious, studying the unconscious through the world of dreams, which is pratibhasika, right? When my mind is not operating and they are all projections.
Correct. Yes.
And when I'm able to make connections of what my unconscious is saying, my conscious waking state, that is a vyavaharika satyam, somehow my experiences become more wholesome, or I'm not saying good or bad, but they just become more wholesome. But that is the connection. So what I'm saying is, while I'm realizing that this is not the truth, it is not the truth. However, in order to have a certain quality of experiences, subjects like psychology, or say, for example, like today I was just studying the polyvagal theory, which says that we have all automatic processes, which we get into three different, of fight, flight, or freeze, or of the being in connection response. These are happening automatically. If I be aware of it,
all that is pratibhasika.
But for my better functioning, or for my better say emotional regulation in the vyavaharika world.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think through this.
Yeah.
And once I'm more emotionally regulated in my vyavaharika world, it should, by logic, make it more easier for me to move on to the paramarthika, because the other premise that I'm making out here is we are talking about neti-neti, which is negation of thought. But when I am doing negation of thought, there's actually an acknowledgement of the thought, and then I negate it.
Yes.
So acknowledgement is extremely important. It's just not that a thought has come and I say, go. I acknowledge the thought, which I think is again a very important part of the psychological.
Okay.
So I acknowledge and then I negate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is where I am with all of this, and it's a kind of a the pulls and pushes for me, because sometimes I tend to say, oh, I have to just move into this world and that world and this world. So it's like a triangulation which I'm going through.
No. Don't get too caught up with your thought world. You see, what you should say is, these are all thoughts. Differentiate between sakshi and thoughts. You are getting muddled up between these three because you're still not looking at yourself as a sakshi. I am the sakshi, which is away from all these thoughts. These thoughts are coming and going. I have got nothing to do with this, whether it is pratibhasikam, whether it is the vyavaharikam, whether it is the sleep thought of ignorance. All this is, they are coming and going, coming and going. This is the world.
So there's total dispassion towards everything then.
Yes, it is dispassion. Means this is what is called as vairagya. You see, this is, you withdraw from all the activities of the world, and then you say, all these are going on. They are all truths, but they are relative truth. Relative to the physical body, the subtle body, and causal body. Whenever I identify, I means what? The pure consciousness, when it identifies with this physical body, it is experiencing vyavaharika satyam.
Okay, the minute I identify with this physical body.
The moment the consciousness, I identified purely with only the mind, not with the senses. In the vyavaharika's level, it is mind and the sense organs together.
Yeah.
In the pratibhasika, it is only the mind which the consciousness is illuminating.
Yes.
And then in the third state, which is called as the ignorant state, which is called as the causal body, that is a sleep condition, where I don't experience the dream, I don't experience the waking also. And I have anubhava of that. Every day I have the anubhava. Every day I have the experience that for some time of the waking world, 6 hours, 4 hours, I put an alarm, I see the clock, I see when I get up in the morning, I see the clock, it's already 5 o'clock. That means for 8 hours or 6 hours, I experienced something which is not the vyavaharika world of sense organs and sense objects. It is not the pure mind which I was seeing in my dream, but there was an ignorance of both these conditions. This was also not there, vyavahara was also not there, dream was also not there, time itself was not there. Only when I wake up, I say, oh, it is already 8 hours, 6 hours I have slept. So the intellect is very confused. What is the truth? The delusion in the intellect is because I experience no world. I experience the world with the sense organs and the mind. And I also experience a condition where I experience only the mind, only the thoughts. The intellect is confused, it is deluded, and therefore it is in ignorance about these 3 conditions of the mind throughout the life. Only when I come to Vedanta, I come to know there is something which is permanent, which is called as Sakshi. You come and you realize, yes, there is something called as Sakshi, which is not connected with the conditions of the mind. And that Sakshi is always there. It is changeless, it is self-lit, and it is Nityam. You cannot negate the Sakshi at all. If you say that that Sakshi is not there, means what? You are negating your own self. You are saying that I myself was not there. So basically what you have to do is bring the condition of your sleep state in which you see that there is no world. Bring the condition of your dream state where you see some pratibhasika. It can be of any, nobody knows how the dream comes and nobody knows how it goes also. Nobody knows how the waking comes and how the waking goes also. It is what is called as anirvachaniyam maya. There is only one word to remember what the world is, Maya. That's all. See, you are saying that I'm confused between the 3, right? Vyavaharika, pratibhasika, and then it is all very natural because it is Maya. Everything has to do with the thoughts. These are all thoughts which are going on in the mind. And what you have to say is, let me try not to be attached to the thoughts because I have learned the Veda now. You see, if I had not learned the Veda, I would never have come across thinking in these terms. So is it clear? Are you getting clarity now?
It is. So what I'm also realizing is this whole exploration which I have with the world and all of that, that is more of entertaining the mind.
Yes, that's correct. Now you got it. Yes, it is. You're entertaining your mind more and more, and you're thinking and thinking and thinking and getting lost into the thoughts. And what you're doing is you're giving more and more reality to it. By our thinking process, we give reality to the external world, and therefore you feel that I'm caught up. You feel, basically it's a cocoon which is going on inside. You yourself are creating the web and getting inside and saying, oh, I'm now stuck. I'm in bound. I don't know what to do. I'm bound.
That's a very important part of the process.
Yes. So Veda teaches you how to come out of that bondage. And the more you think that I am in bondage, the more you will come and study the Veda, because you have realized that you are in bondage.
Why I'm getting entertained or why I'm entertaining it is because I'm feeling or experiencing that by making those connections between the unconscious and conscious, my experiences become better. So it's again, I'm getting it limited to that world. Okay.
Yes. Shama had gone through this process also a few months back.
Okay.
That's why I'm laughing.
Exactly what you are going through, she went through and she is out of it now. She can explain your situation much better.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, Saru. I really don't mean to be disrespectful to you, but it is really, I love the way you said one is entertaining one's mind, you know. So it is very interesting because it's actually, it is quite enjoyable, you know, and the mind keeps continuously playing the trick because obviously our method of experiencing world, knowing the world, not experiencing, but knowing the world. Some of us have since day one, I think we just have always wanted to know things, you know, what is this world and this thing. So some of us are blessed in that. So you continue to go through that. And what is the amazing, Shekharji, is despite the fact that we have an introduction to this exceptional knowledge in Veda, you know, which is, I wish one could sort of very early on in life, you know, if one had embraced it,
Yes.
you know, it would be, world would have been a, you know, really an easy sail through, but we didn't. Yeah, we were trying to all the time learn through the conventional way on how
that's
we
correct. Yes.
have knowledge. The one in psychology is a very tricky one, very tricky, honestly. And because it's so tantalizing, because obviously I'm experiencing my feelings, you know, which are sometimes good, sometimes not so good, you're suffering. So obviously you think, now Veda cannot answer that, you know, because it's really, it's about another reality. I need to actually explore. And obviously the simplest one, very logically, it is you study psychology. Now, psychology then takes you around the bend. It's a completely different, both psychology and philosophy. I'm saying all this, but you can find it so funny, sheer habit. I keep on, you know, dipping into, like yesterday, I was listening to Schopenhauer, you know, and it was really such a wonderful flight through the intellect. I really, really enjoyed it. But ultimately, it still leaves you dry because it's not giving you the answer which you're seeking. So, you know, sorry, Saru. So this was that. I caught up with that entertaining world because it actually does entertain the intellect. So my question really from Shekharji from today's class is, so there is this and that, you know, which is really Drisha, this and that. So this is the self and that is the rest of my, including my anatma self, the body mind self. Yeah. So, and I see myself as a kind of a real mixture, self and non-self. Yeah. Mixture. Am I not a mixture? I am a mixture of the self and the non-self.
Yes.
Because obviously the Atma is very much there.
Yes.
As a Jiva, I am a mixture. I am a self, and a lot part of it is non-self. I don't know what proportion it is. So this whole process of Upanishadic learning, it is almost like as if you would take a mixture. That's what we do in chemistry, isn't it?
Right,
you
yes.
take a mixture, put it into the centrifuge, take it right, a really amazing speed, you know, and that depends upon each one of us. At what speed are we happy to concentrate on that? Let it centrifuge through that. And then, of course, you have a very clear, you know, you get a supernatant. In fact, if I has to put my blood into a centrifuge, almost large part of it is really the watery fluid content, and only a very tiny amount is the more solidified content, centrifuging. So this whole process of Vedantic study, to me, is analogous to this mixture must be put into the centrifuge of the Vedantic study, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana, and sooner or later, we are going to find what is the anatma and what is the atma, what will be left at the solid adhishthanam
Correct.
It will be the Atma. So that is fine. The question which I have is, day one, you know, we are all born with a particular frame of mind, which is based on our prarabdha karma, whatever we would have had in our past life. So we get a particular frame of mind, according to which we start forming our world vision, isn't it?
Yes.
And our own vision. This is world, this is me, this is, you know, so we are continuously, through our world experience, we are gaining our own identity of ourselves. The question which I have is, why is it that some people will want to go further and look for that the Atma self, while others would not? On an intellectual level, I can see, you know, that those people who, why do people do intellectual exercise? Those who, there is a population which are just mere survival, you know, they have hardly got anything enough to eat and all of that.
Yeah.
So obviously they are not the one who will be seeking this. As Swami Vivekananda says, you know, he can't teach Vedas and Upanishads in the East, because he said these people, India must grow, India must form muscles, you know, become strong. While in the West, people were already having well enough for the survival. So he actually distinguished that. There will be a particular group of people who will be ready to take the knowledge. So intellect then, so the intellect will be then divided into those who will be interested in pure leisure, the Charvaka, the materialist, you know, the Charvaka, they think leisure and pleasure is all that we need. But out of that, a small group of people will exit out because the intellect is not happy, or, you know. So the question, sorry, I'm making such a stupid way of asking. I'm asking, is it the key element is either a boredom or a suffering that is actually pushing us to find what else is there, you know, who am I? What is my real self?
Yeah, the direct answer to your question, why some people are in this and some people are not coming in. Yeah. The answer to that is answered in Vivek Chudamani by Shankaracharya. He says, it is prarabdha karma. You are destined to come and listen to the Veda in this birth and go through this lesson. Another person is not destined for that.
Can I assume that I would have had, even from my past life and even from this life, true, I have to have enough suffering, because otherwise I'm happy.
Yes, yes, definitely. You see, whoever is listening to these talks now, right now, they are destined for this. For example, tomorrow morning you will go for a walk. You will do A, B, C, D. You will do 5 actions. You will do some karmas, some actions, all determined by your thoughts only.
Yeah.
You will be thinking, I must go for a walk, I must go for a shopping, I must do this. It's all thought-based. But every thought will push you into an action.
Yeah.
And these thoughts are not random thoughts. There is a cycle, there is a law behind the thoughts. The thoughts have got a certain cosmic law.
Okay.
The cosmic law of thoughts is prarabdha karma fulfillment.
Correct.
Punya papa fulfillment. Veda is very clear and says, it is the mind, the ego has taken a decision to take this body and go through some of these actions. Through this body, I will do these actions. I will hear the music. I will hear the Vedas. I will chant the Vedas. These are all what? You are destined to do it. It is the thoughts. So just remain a sakshi to all your actions.
Yeah. No, I'm still going to the cause of the seeking. Yes. And I want to, what I'm asking is, the cause of this thing is that our essential nature is Sat-Chit-Ananda. So in my ordinary day experience, if I am not experiencing that ananda, I am unhappy and therefore I will seek. This is what I'm asking.
Yes,
that
you're
whether
right. You're right.
if this is true, if this
It is 100% true. Whenever I get bored with the world, I want to switch it off. I want to switch off my mind and then come back to something which is more closer to myself.
Yeah.
That's why I come to the, you said you read Schopenhauer yesterday. Now, he is another, another great literate person who has analyzed the mind so much. But then the problem is that he has analyzed without the giving the basis of the Veda.
But he was an avid this thing. There's a very beautiful thing from him where he says, every day for the rest of my life, I have to read Upanishad in order to find this thing peace. So he does come, and therefore his premise in the conventional language, he says, what a person is versus what a person has. In other words, the isness of that being is very central to the essential happiness which we are all seeking. So what I am asking is, this vairagya is a very, very necessary prerequisite, isn't it? That unless, otherwise it will be an intellectual study of Upanishads.
That's correct, yes.
There is a definite amount of restlessness in my mind. I'm very unhappy with myself and my life. And therefore, I want to understand Upanishads and find a meaning there.
Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah. So because you said about intelligence, stamina, and the list which you had, that you have to have a faith. Correct. So I'm having a faith. Upanishad knows what I'm seeking.
Yes.
And therefore I'm studying. Yeah.
Absolutely right. You see, sometimes you will feel frustrated with the way your mind thinks. Why does the mind think like this and go after something?
Yeah.
Isn't it going away from the truth? Sometimes you will come to realize this, that my mind is getting engrossed in the world, away from the truth. I want to come back to the truth. I want to learn the truth. You see, that is why you come back and say, okay, come on, let me see what more I can learn. What more? How can I see the most important thing which happens in any of these talks is our mind, which is hooked to the world, learns to think how it can come out and be for some time with its own self.
Yeah.
You see, in these talks, what we learn is every time when we come to the Panchadasi class, we learn a small way, in a small way, for a small amount of time, we are able to rest in our own pure self.
Correct.
And there is an enjoyment in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the talk, all of you will feel, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because why? Because my mind was able to have a peep into that self, that pure self. And every talk is trying to enter into that, having a glimpse and again come out. Again having a glimpse, again having come out. The mind learns to see that small flame which is going on of the Atma, and then that becomes a conflagration.
Absolutely. The tragedy is that there is only one tragedy. The tragedy is, and I think it is best to accept it rather than fight it, because I was fighting it. The tragedy is that so many years of your life, if we have lived and, there is almost an habituated, conditioned way of thinking.
Yeah.
So although on one hand, I'm learning the truth, but my mind is so conditioned, like, I have a book on meaning of life, so it keeps drawing me backwards, say, is this really what you want to do for the rest of your life? Study Vedanta and contemplation and all of that, should you not be actually? So that war continues, this war But I know it's my mind which is actually doing it. So I keep saying, okay, enough, stay away. It's crazy, you know, this entertainment with our minds is, I'm hooked on to Saru's word of the mind entertainment. Thank you.
Add.
Yeah.
Yeah, Venkatesh?
Yeah. No, like what Shama is saying and all. See, mind is extremely powerful actually. And we have to accept the mind as it is. We cannot fight with the mind. So I just remember what Mahatma Gandhi used to say, if somebody is asking you to slap on one cheek, you give the other actually. So that has been explained in one of the texts by Viveka, one of the top philosopher or someone who was going through what Mahatma Gandhi said and all. There was some previous background also they have seen. When he says this thing, what he says is, what we are seeing externally is as if you're acting stupid actually. Somebody wants to slap on one face, you're giving the other. But what it really means is you are making someone else to feel the guilt. Because the person who is hitting, just even without any mistake, and if he is showing the other, still you are hitting the second cheek also, it will be difficult for that person to accept that guilt. So he, at some time or other, he has to come and rise to the occasion and he will know the truth. So similarly, the mind also, what happens is, it is so powerful, so we cannot let it down. So what mind requires always is clarification, lot of analysis. That's why Sekhaji is giving so much of different types of analysis, you know, Tarka, Vitarka, these Vedas, Drishti, Srishti, all this scenario, like even Sarah, what she was just saying, the different satyas, everything is satya, vyavaharika satya, paramarthika satya, all these satya. But certain things, even an enlightened master has to accept in the vyavaharika life what is satya. I just want to give one simple example. If you see sun is rising. So every day we just get up in the morning, we say sun is rising. The sun rise, sun is always stationary at that position. It is only the earth which is rotating, and finally, you know, it is taking the different direction. It is earth is the one which is rising and which is setting. But you just imagine that if we say someone that earth is rising, which is so fact based on my knowledge, it does not work actually. So the vyavaharika life, certain thing which is made with reference to our body and mind, we have to accept that is. But this acceptance, true acceptance will come to the mind only by the knowledge. It cannot come. We accept internally. See, the person who is a doctor and who is not a doctor, the person who is an engineer who is not an engineer, what is the difference is only the knowledge. So only the knowledge which can make a difference. So about the paramarthika satya, this is what lot of emphasis through the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and all that. But Sekhaji is again and again emphasizing is what is that? The basic avidya. So this basic avidya which has to be removed through the knowledge only. This is an absolute ignorance which has to be removed through the knowledge. And subject, we cannot feel it. It does not have any attributes. So a thing which does not have any attribute, understanding that is extremely difficult. So it's very essential that certain things, certain times, the mind requires certain qualifications to understand. We have to make sure that with certain way, it has to be brought to that knowledge. So it is only Shruti and the scriptures, Vedas, that's the only thing which can brought to that knowledge and it awaits. See, I have been listening these Upanishads and all this for the last maybe 15 years or more than that. So every time when I just listen, there is certain inner transformation is happening. So there is a lot of internal quietitudeness and certain things, you know, certain places where you are stuck, you do not know where you are stuck. But continuous listening, Shravanam and then Mananam, you will find that a time will come, you will be able to get over that situation. So, like, see, most of the time what we do is, while going through this spiritual knowledge and all, we are traveling from something like sound to silence. So a lot of noise and garbage which is there in our body and mind. So the traveling is from the Jivatma to the Paramatma level. Only through the direct Vedanta knowledge only we could able to gain direct information about that knowledge. So why we are doing all this meditation and yoga and all that, to reduce that mala inside our mind actually. So that's very important. Though we are all having the same destination, but the point from where we are starting, it is different for everyone actually. See, the Changi airport may be the same, but somebody may be coming from Jurong and somebody is going from different places, Tampines, and also the distance will be different. So the path what they're traveling will be different. So, and the destination is same, but the path by which we are traveling, that will lead to the different sort of experiences and all that. So we have to accept those experiences by understanding the real truth, which is only can be revealed by virtue of the knowledge through the scriptures. So it's very interesting, like Shekharji, like what Shama was saying, centrifuging actually. Centrifuging is a scientific term, which is, I want to tell you in a simple way, when two elements, you know, like
Mixtures, yeah.
Liquid and solids, when they are mixed together because of two different densities, and when they are churned, you know, so they get separated. So in the same way, we have, like what you're saying, we are mixture. Yes, we are 100% mixture. Prakriti and Purusha both are there. The whole Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter is saying the same thing. So we have to enhance the qualities of understanding the Purusha Lakshana. What is that Purusha? So most of the time, because of this vyavaharika and prarabdha, we are with the vyavaharika world with this body, mind, and intellect complex. So we cannot negate that. We have to accept that. But understanding the truth, what it is, we can just conquer this phenomena. So though prarabdha is there, but we also have a free will. Free will is the most powerful tool, and which we have to use it. So it's up to us whether we get onto discrimination stage or which we want to enter into the dispassion stage, and all the choice is ours. So by using that free will as a tool, definitely we can conquer this avidya stage and get into the more acceptance stage of understanding the real swarupa of the
Thank you, Venkatesh. You're very well summarized what what Shama wants to listen. She has got the gist of your answer. There's one question from Akshay before I go to Shama's thing. Is it all true? What has happened for good? What is happening is good, and what will happen is also for good. Akshay, do you want to expand on your question a little bit?
Oh, there was a quote shared in the divine quotes, right? So
Yeah, divine quotes, yes.
Yeah. So
So
will it hold true means?
Yeah. See, okay. Now this, will it hold true depends on whether you accept prarabdha karma or not. See, if you follow the law of prarabdha karma, you will say whatever has happened in the past is for good. It is for my own development and growth. God has given me certain experiences. It is for good. Number one. What is happening today is number two. I may be facing challenges. I may be facing joy or sorrow. I accept both because the world is a mixture of opposites. You cannot have only birth and no death. You cannot have only death without birth. World is a mixture of opposites. I accept both joy and sorrow. If only joy is there in the world, you will not be able to understand joy itself without sorrow. Suppose there is only sorrow and no joy in the world, again that is useless. So God has created this whole world. Vedantic Upanishads is very clear. The world is nothing but a pair of opposites. So acceptance of the past, acceptance of the present, and acceptance of the future is the right way of living. First of all, you accept it. Whatever the problem comes when I do not accept my present. Why did God create this situation for me? When I do not accept my past, why did I have this childhood experiences? Forget about it. This is, when you go against this acceptance theory, then you will have suffering in the world. So your question is it true? 100% true. Whatever has happened in my life, in the past, in the present, and in the future, I leave everything as Ishvara Prasada. This is, the Lord wants me to experience this today. The Lord wants me to experience this tomorrow. The Lord wanted me to experience this yesterday. It is the Lord's wish. It is not my wish. I accept it. 200% I accept it. When you accept it, you will find that you are able to face life. Very important point. Accept what you cannot change in this world. Whatever you can change, go ahead and change it. Put all your efforts. I can change somebody else's sorrow, I can reduce. Go ahead and do it. So if you can change, go ahead and change it. But if you can't change and you feel helpless, the only way to face life is accept it. Accept it. Oh Lord, give me the strength to face the world which I cannot change. I know I cannot change, but what can I do? I can only ask for the strength to face the world. This is the only prayer I can have. Many of us, in many situations in our life, we will have this helpless feeling. All of us, at some time in your life, you'll feel, I am totally helpless in this situation. Whether you want to cure somebody, whether you want to help somebody, but there are situations you just can't do it. So at that time, only prayer is, give me the strength to face. You can pray for yourself, you can pray for others also. Suppose somebody else, one of your friend is facing a problem. The prayer will be effective and you will see miracles can happen. So Akshay, what you are saying is true. I'll go, but some event happened, gives huge sorrow, unchangeable. Yes, it's possible. That is exactly what Shama is also saying, accept and whatever you can't change. Okay. Is Vairagya a natural state? Okay, that's a different part of the question. So Akshay, am I clear? Have I answered your question?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Very much.
Okay, good. Okay. Shama is asking, is Vairagya a natural state in our spiritual evolution? Yes, it is. See, what happens is, the more I do Shravanam, increased Shravanam will increase my Vairagya. Increased Mananam will increase my Vairagya. The more Shravanam I do, initially my Vairagyam from the external world will increase. I will feel that I don't need to do so many things which I was doing before. It's a natural process. Because this is how the Lord has made our mind. See, some people have vairagya at a very young age because of their purva karma. Why do some people go and join a 2-year course of Vedanta course and then they become a Swami? Because of their purva karma. You see, they are born in this world to go through that course and then take up this lifestyle. You have chosen a lifestyle because of your inclination. That is your how you have been born in this world. So vairagyam is a natural state. That's why I say that as you grow in Shravanam, your Mananam will increase. You will find that you're thinking more about Atma nowadays than before. The number of times you think about Atma in a day is much more today because of increased Shravanam and reduction of your Vairagyam. I mean, your Vairagyam has grown. I think is it clear?
Yeah, the second part of it is, so while Vairagya is a natural state of the mind which will happen, Tyaga is to be practiced. This is what I'm asking.
Yeah, Tyaga is moving away from Priya to Shreya. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is really just a clarification. Yeah,
that is a deliberate process. Tyaga is a deliberate process.
Correct.
Moving away from Priya to Shreya. Priya means whatever is pleasurable to whatever is good.
Yeah.
See, spiritual knowledge is Shreyas. Worldly life is Preyas. Yeah. You know, the more I go around to Oxford Street and do some shopping, I feel very nice. I got a nice handbag today. It cost £1,000, but then that is short-lived. You see, it's short-lived.
It's a special tragedy for women. Special tragedy for women.
What to do? You see, you'll be surprised. Even men have the problem. Really? They may not buy a handbag, but they may go and buy a briefcase. You know.
I just have 2 small points. I was watching this movie of Adi Shankaracharya, and what I found very astounding out there was he had 2 friends. One is called Mrityu and one is called Gyan. And they're walking with him constantly. So Mrityu, that is something which is like staying with me very strongly. And so these are all becoming part of my background, and I want to share that. Second is when you're saying that just like we have a senses of perception, but which is often misperception. Yeah, the Veda, I will say the Veda is a 7th sense. It's another sense to which I have access through the Upanishads.
Yes,
I take it to be that.
Yeah, see, your first part of the sentence was Shankaracharya walked along with 2 friends, Mrityu and Gyan. Gyan puts an end to Mrityu.
I didn't think of that. Gyan.
See, Gyan, knowledge, puts an end to Mrityu. Mrityu means change. Mrityu means thoughts. Whenever you're thinking that thoughts are changing, it is called as Mrityu. You are facing death. Death of the past. Because whenever a thought comes, you feel a sense of time. So when he has walked with Mrityu and death as 2 friends, Mrityu and Jnanam, what he means is Mrityu is constantly bogging me. My thoughts are constantly bogging me. I can only put an end to that Mrityu by Jnanam. Constantly reminding myself, I am the consciousness which is illumining this Mrityu thoughts. So both are walking together.
They both are walking.
Always, like the 2 birds in a tree. in this body tree, Mrityu is there and Jnanam is also there. I have always looked at the Mrityu part. I have ignored the Jnana part. Jnana part is the Sakshi.
So I don't look at the Mrityu as the physical death of the body.
It is not the physical death. It is the changing thoughts which you are facing every minute. That is what is called as Mrityu.
Okay, that gives a totally different thing.
And the knowledge part is the consciousness, which is revealing these changing thoughts. This is the inner meaning of that.
Okay, okay. Very interesting. In the movie, he actually embraces Mrityu. He embraces.
Jnanam is the ultimate illuminator for Mrityu.
Jnanam is the illuminator.
It illumines that there is no there is no change which is happening. The change is at a lower level, at the level of the mind.
I'm just tempted to share the Shiva's symbolism, you know.
Yes.
The two eyes represent the duality of the world.
Correct.
And the third eye is the Jnanam, but which is really totally destroys, you know, all this duality.
Correct.
So once the duality is destroyed, there is a destruction. There is no chance, you know, we can't really hold both the things together, you know, as in a sword, you can have only one sword in a sheath, you know, in the scabbard. You can't have two. So either you have Jnanam or you have Ajnanam. So pull out one, you know. So yeah, this third eye is a very wonderful thing, you know, which is beyond that, but that's Jnanam, isn't it?
Sure. Okay. It's been a very long discussion today.
There is one question from Akshay, please.
Yeah, Akshay, is there a question? Sometime our vairagya fails. It can't remain permanent. In that case, what should we do? The vairagyam, it fails because we don't have the strength of our mind. You see, the strength, vairagyam is directly proportional to the strength of our mind. Strength. Now, vairagyam fails mainly because we think that what we are after, what we are holding is Satyam. The moment we understand that it is not Satyam, it is only Mithya, immediately Vairagyam will grow. So the solution for ultimate Vairagyam is Mithyatvam of the world. Jagan Mithya Aham Satyam. Whatever I experience is Mithya, is an appearance. It will be there for some time, it will go away. There is nothing in the world which will remain the same. This knowledge of Aham Satyam, Jagan Mithya is the only way you can increase your Vairagyam. Only way. There is no other method.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can run around for the rest of your life. Aham Satyam, not Brahma Satyam. Brahma Satyam is a Paroksha Jnanam. Brahma Satyam is okay, I heard from the Guru, there is something called as Brahman and that is Satyam. Okay, fine. Brahman is very happy. But I am suffering. Change that Brahman into Aham Satyam. Aham here means I am the consciousness. I am always there. I was there yesterday. I means what? The body plus the consciousness. Body, mind, and consciousness. So whenever the Vairagyam, again coming back to your question, Vairagyam is attachment to the world. Attachment to the world is very strong only because I consider it as Satyam, as paramarthika Satyam. I consider the world as paramarthika satyam. Therefore, the attachment to the world is very strong. How do I break it? The only way is this world which I'm experiencing is not the absolute truth. It is a relative truth. Only it is appearing, it will disappear. Even if it is not, even if it is permanent, I am not going to be permanent to experience it all the time. So the best is keep listening to the scriptures, understand the truth of Aham Satyam Jaganmithya. This is Shankaracharya's favorite word, and it is a solution for all our sorrows. Whenever you want to analyze your sorrow, come back to this particular lesson. Aham Satyam Jagan Mithya. Aham Satyam Jagan Mithya. Whatever I experience, what is Mithya? Mithya means appearance. It is in the 4th chapter of Panchadasi. A very deep analysis is made about our mind. Deep, very deep analysis in the 4th chapter of Panchadasi. And there Vidyaranya Swami says, believe it or not, 99% will not believe this. All our experiences is not external, but it is internal in our mind. All experiences, I am experiencing this class. Is it external? He will prove in the 4th chapter of Panchadasi, and he will say, even though it appears to be external, that is actually happening in your mind.
The word is in the mind.
Yes, the world is in your mind, and it is always the Sakshi which is seeing that. The world is always experienced by Sakshi in your mind. He will prove it. Now I don't have the time. It's already 9 o'clock. If I start, it will go on till tomorrow.
Remote working.
Give us a discussion more often.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Good night. Hari Om.